Well, it's time to work on the golf cart engine. So I got a lot of the parts cleaned up. Got the crank and everything cleaned up, both of the crankcase. Got some new shims over here, got some new bearings, seals, and gaskets. We're pretty much ready to start putting this thing together. One thing I did want to say was the cylinder that was originally on this engine is it's right here. You can see it's not in bad shape. It actually cleaned up really nice, but whenever I was boring the cylinder out, I ended up getting past the 50 thousandths mark, or I'm right at it. So the final hone might be slightly over, so I was looking for a 60 thousandths over piston. Well, due to the age of it, you can't find it. I called several places, searched eBay, searched other websites and stuff. You just can't find this stuff anymore. So what I ended up doing, and not sure if it's going to work, we're going to try it, is this is an 82 cylinder and piston kit. And the biggest thing that I can find different is the position of the exhaust port. Other than that, I cannot find anything different. The base gasket, the head gasket, they're all the same. The piston's the same throughout all the years. The rings are the same. The stroke's the same. So that's the only thing I can find different. And if that's the only thing that's different, I'm going to make my own exhaust anyway. So I'll make it work. I have to modify the shroud. The shroud only goes to here. Compared to here, it went a little bit farther. I mean, to me, that's a minor change, since I do that kind of stuff quite often. So I'm going to give it a shot. So with that said, I think we're pretty much ready to start putting this thing together. Let's get this guy out of the way, and let's start getting prepped for assembly. So the first thing I'm probably going to do is work on this side of the case real quick. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and push the roller bearing in, and then put the gas or the seal in. And then that's pretty much all it's done to this side. It makes it kind of nice. This side here, it gets both of these bearings, the shims, and you know, you got to adjust the crank and stuff, or shim the crank. So it takes a little bit more work. So we start on this side, and then we'll go to this side, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the assembly. I went over to the press. I pushed the bearing down in there. So this bearing's down in. I got the seal put in, and I almost forgot that there's a snap ring on this side, but it really doesn't need to be there, but we'll put it in anyway. And so now this side here is completely done. There's nothing left to do on it, so I'm going to go ahead and set it aside. Okay, so the original shims that was in this engine, you can see that they're bad shape. So the engine had some water in it, or the seal had went bad. So I was just measuring these shims. It's hard to get a good measurement on them because they're corroded so bad, but every one of them I'm getting right around 3 thousandths. And I know that the book says that they're only offer 2 thousandths and 10 thousandths shims. So every one of these I'm going to assume is 2 thousandths shims. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8. So we're going to shoot for the 8 thousandths shimming. I did buy 2 thousandths and 10 thousandths shims just to be sure. These are obviously the 2 thousandths are real thin, and the 10 thousandths, you can see quite a bit of them there. So the book calls for 1 to 5 thousandths end play, so we'll double check it anyway, but it also says put the same amount of shims in that you took out. So that's what we're going to start with. We're going to go ahead and start with the 8 thousandths. We'll check the end play and see what it looks like, and then we'll continue on. Alright, so I went and looked at the book. I wanted to be sure. It says to install the shims in this side and install the bearing. And then flip it over and install the other bearing. And seal. So that's what we'll do. So you can see that it is very, very light press. This side probably is the same way. I just don't have it quite lined up properly. So I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff in, and then I'll bring you back and we'll go back to showing you how to shim the crank. Okay, I went ahead and put the other bearing, put the seal in here. I guess I wasn't paying attention enough. These bearings are slip fit on both sides, on the crank and in the case here, the crankcase. So, I mean, that's a good thing. It makes it easier for assembly. I'm not a fan of doing stuff like that, but so this, if we can get it right, maybe even a tap. There it is. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and put this snap ring on, and then we'll check our end play just like the book calls for. So I was looking at the drawing. The drawing shows that there's supposed to be a washer on that. However, the tolerance stack up, there's no way a washer could fit in there. So I went ahead and put the snap ring on, and I was looking at the end play here, and I don't really have the right dowel indicator for this. All I have is a mag base, and there's a little bit of steel right here that I can get on. But for the purpose of this is, so it's sitting, let's make it 50 thousandths. So we'll crawl on that 0, but if you pull, we're getting about 7 or 8. Right there's, I'm sorry, that's 12 thousandths. So we need to cut that in half. So half of that would be 6 thousandths. So we need 6 thousandths more shim, and that would get us down to 6 thousandths. So we're supposed to be 1 to 5. So what we could do is add a 10 and a 2, and that would be 12. That may get us actually right at the 1,000ths end play. So why don't we do that? Okay, so I looked at the manual, and the manual says, or shows a washer being here, but in the text it tells you that like apparently the 80s and up used the washer, and the 70s didn't use the washer. So the early models didn't use the washer. So I went ahead and got everything adjusted. You seen how I did that? It's right around 3 thousandths, little under, like 2.5 to 3. So this part's pretty much done. So the next operation is to put the other half of the case together. So, you know, get the gaskets out. Now I have gaskets. The 80 model uses gaskets. The 70s models don't. They just use a sealant. And whenever I tore this apart, there was silicone on it. Well, 2-cycle is, you know, obviously there's gas in the crankcase. Well, silicone and gas don't mix. You know, it'll eventually eat out the gasket material, and then you'll have a leak. So that's definitely something you don't want to do. So I'm probably going to go ahead and use the gasket since I have it. It's not going to matter whether I use it or not. but I have it, so I might as well just use it. Other than that, I'm going to go get the primer for the gaskets. I like using that stuff. And then I'll put that on, and then we'll start assembly. So, all right.